To the public, John Wayne Gacy was the ideal citizen. A small business owner, political volunteer, a man who made kids laugh at parties and hospitals. People trusted him. But beneath that painted smile was a darkness that festered. Behind every laugh, every balloon animal, every handshake, was bloodlust. He didn't just hide in plain sight, he thrived there. From 1972 to 1978, dozens of young boys and men vanished across Chicago. Most were last seen getting into cars, headed to job interviews, hitchhiking, or just trying to get home. They weren't runaways, they were targeted. And Gacy? He had a system. He lured them using his contracting company, offering work, money, a place to crash. Once they stepped inside, they never walked out. December 1978. 15-year-old Robert Peast disappeared after meeting with Gacy. His mother raised hell. She wouldn't let it go. Police got a warrant. What they found would scar them forever. The smell hit first. Then the dirt beneath the house gave way. 23 bodies, buried beneath the floorboards. More in the yard. 4 dumped in a nearby river. In total, 33 victims, he confessed. Cold, methodical, no remorse. And while awaiting trial, he painted. Mostly clowns. Gacy wasn't just a killer. He was a predator who weaponized charm. He looked you in the eyes, smiled, shook your hand, and then buried your son under his house. He once said, "A clown can get away with murder." He wasn't joking. In 1994, Gacy was executed by lethal injection. His final meal? Fried chicken, fries, a pound of strawberries. But even in death, his story lingers, inspiring the evil clown in films, books, and nightmares. And the questions? They still haunt investigators to this day. How many more were there? How many families never got answers? How many people smiled back at Pogo the Clown, never knowing they were looking into the eyes of a killer? Evil doesn't always snarl. Sometimes, it smiles. Dorm life isn't as glamorous as the movies make it out to be. The walls are paper thin. The bathrooms are shared. If your neighbor plays music at 2 a.m., good luck getting any sleep. But still, for the most part, I felt safe. Or at least, I used to. It started small. I was sitting at my desk one night, headphones on, working on a paper when I heard it. A faint scratching sound coming from inside the walls. At first, I brushed it off. Rats, maybe. Old pipes. My roommate Jess even joked we had ghost mice or something. Maintenance came by and said the same thing. It was probably just pests. But then came the whispers. At night, when everything was quiet, I'd hear murmuring. Not the loud kind, soft, hushed voices, like someone talking just behind the drywall. I told myself it was nothing. The building was old, sound traveled weird, but I didn't believe it, and neither did Jess. One morning, she held up a crumpled granola bar wrapper, her brows furrowed. "I didn't eat this," she said. I offered a weak explanation. Maybe it was from whoever lived here before. But she shook her head. "I cleaned the closet when we moved in. I would have seen it." And it wasn't just that one. Over the next few days, we kept finding more. Chip bags, empty water bottles, stuff neither of us recognized. We started locking our door obsessively, checking the windows. Still, the noises continued. Then came the worst night of my life. Jess had gone home for the weekend, so I was alone. And maybe it sounds ridiculous, but I set up my laptop to record myself sleeping. I just needed proof that nothing weird was going on, that it was all in my head. The next morning, I watched the footage. At first, nothing happened. Hours passed. But around 3 a.m., I saw it. The vent cover above my closet moved. Slowly, it creaked open. And a man, thin, pale, with dark, sunken eyes, crawled out. I stopped breathing, just stared at the screen in frozen horror. He lowered himself to the floor like a spider. Then, he turned and looked straight at my bed. He walked over, slowly, deliberately, and just stood there, watching me, for 2 hours. He didn't move, didn't speak, barely even breathed. At one point, he tilted his head like he was listening for something. And then, just as silently as he'd come, he turned around, climbed back into the vent, and vanished. I don't remember much after that. I know I screamed. I know I ran. Campus security searched every inch of the dorm. And in the crawl space above my closet, they found it. A nest, blankets, empty food wrappers, old clothes. He'd been living there, watching us, coming and going without a sound. To this day, no one knows how long he was there. Now, I'm in a different dorm, a different building. The vents are bolted shut. There are cameras in the hall, extra locks on my door, but I still don't sleep well. I still wake up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, staring at the ceiling. Because what haunts me the most isn't that he was there. It's that until I saw the video, I had never heard him leave.
I never told anyone this story, not in full. Even now, I still don't know how close I came to being another one of his victims. It started when I was 19, living alone for the first time in a small apartment near my college campus. It wasn't the best neighborhood, but it was cheap, and I figured as long as I kept to myself, I'd be fine. I was always careful, always locking my doors, staying aware of my surroundings. At least, I thought I was. Then, I noticed him. The first time I saw him was at the gas station across from my apartment. It was late, maybe 11 p.m., and I had stopped to fill up my car before heading home. The lot was mostly empty, except for a few parked cars near the convenience store entrance. As I waited, I felt that prickling sensation on the back of my neck, like someone was watching me. I turned, and there he was. A man, standing by the entrance of the convenience store, completely still. Tall, thin, with dark sunken eyes and unkempt hair. He was wearing a blue t-shirt and jeans. If you saw him on the street, nothing really stood out about him except for his creepy staring. His posture was unnerving, rigid, unmoving, as if he had been standing like that for hours. But it wasn't his appearance that unnerved me. It was the fact that he was staring directly at me. Not at the store, not at the cars. At me. I swallowed hard, pretending not to notice. My hands trembled as I finished at the pump, my heart pounding against my chest. I told myself I was being paranoid. He was probably just loitering, or he thought I was cute. Still, I got into my car, locked the doors, and drove off as fast as I could. That should have been the end of it. But then, I started seeing him everywhere. At first, I brushed it off. It was a college town after all. Maybe he just lived nearby. But then, I saw him again. A week later, I was at the grocery store, picking up a few things after class. The place was mostly empty, it was late, and I was hurrying through the aisles, eager to get home. And then, I saw him, standing completely still, just watching me. His eyes were locked onto me. I froze, gripping the handle of my basket so hard my knuckles turned white. He didn't move. He didn't pretend to be shopping while staring at me. He didn't even blink. I turned on my heel and walked away, my stomach twisting in knots. The entire time I was in that store, I felt him just out of my line of sight, lurking at the edges of my vision. When I finally stepped into the parking lot, I nearly screamed when I saw him standing near my car. I forced myself to keep walking fast but controlled. My hands fumbled for my keys as I approached. Then, just as I reached my door, he turned and walked away. No words, no reaction, just left. My heart was still hammering in my chest when I locked myself inside. I sat in my car for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, trying to calm my breathing. I told myself it was just a coincidence, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. Then, a few nights later, I saw him outside my apartment. I was studying in my bedroom. My blinds were closed, but a tiny gap let in a sliver of daylight. A few hours later, I decided to stretch my legs. There he was, staring at me, like he knew I would be coming out at that exact time. He was facing my apartment, watching. I felt sick. My skin crawled with the realization that he knew where I lived. I shut my laptop and crawled into bed, forcing myself to ignore it. Maybe if I didn't react, he'd lose interest. Maybe he was just a homeless man passing through. Maybe I barely slept that night. A week passed. No sign of him. I started convincing myself that I had imagined it, that I was overreacting. Then, one night, it happened. I had been at the library late, cramming for an exam. By the time I got into my apartment complex, it was almost midnight. The parking lot was eerily quiet. I hurried inside. As soon as I stepped in, I knew something was wrong. It was subtle, just a shift in the air, an unnatural stillness. My gut twisted, my pulse pounded in my ears. I locked the door behind me, set my bag down, and walked toward my bedroom. Nothing looked out of place, but as I passed my closet, my breath caught in my throat. The door was open, just an inch. I always kept it shut. I stood there, frozen, my mind racing. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe I had left it open earlier. Then, I saw it. A shoe, a man's shoe. A wave of terror crashed over me. My entire body went numb. Someone was in there. I didn't think I ran. I bolted out of my apartment, down the hall, and into the parking lot. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone as I dialed 911. I kept looking up at my window, terrified I would see someone staring back. The police arrived within minutes. They searched my apartment, weapons drawn. The closet was empty. No signs of forced entry. No footprints except mine. Nothing stolen. Nothing broken. Just the open closet door. And a single dirty footprint on my bedroom carpet. I moved out that week. Stayed with a friend until I found another place. A month later, I saw his face on the news. A serial killer had been caught in my city. He had been breaking into women's apartments, hiding in their closets, waiting for them to fall asleep before I didn't finish reading. Because as they flashed his mugshot on the screen, my blood ran cold. It was him. The man who had been watching me. The man who had been inside my apartment. I still have nightmares about that night. I wonder what would have happened if I had gone to sleep instead of noticing the closet door. How long had he been in there, waiting? To this day, whenever I move into a new place, I check every closet before I go to bed. Because now, I know one thing for certain. Sometimes, the monster isn't just watching. Sometimes, he's already inside.
Thanks for watching, but the nightmares don't stop here. Tap the next story if you dare, and don't forget to subscribe to Nightroot, where true horror runs deep.